Yeah, there we go. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Ken with the HCU Alumni Workshop. This is Friday night, um, August 30th, 2024. Bethany and I are uh, just catching up on old times here. And uh, so I wanted to walk Bethany through our base camp project here on what I call the OWL group. The OWL group is my loose collection of partners and projects, one of which is the HCU alumni. There's actually a little bit of bleed over that some of my clients have been helpful to us in the HCU because some of my guys are good at working on Rizuku courses
Oh,
or
great.
um, working with Zoom or making YouTube shorts and making artifacts. So uh, and I've got them writing books with me, and book writing and artifact making is one of the things we do also. So you may see some guys on the list that are not HCU alumni, but they're my guys and they're good people and they like to help. So the OWL group is how we organize that. So what I have is my own brand, and I'm a retired Army officer. I teach for the Army still. I'm in my 46th year of Army service, 25 years active duty, and then I
Mm.
retired as a teacher from our Command and General Staff College here. We teach organizational leaders, 10 years in service, 35 years old. The upper half of the year group, these are the guys that have been selected for promotion and are going to head on to command battalions and brigades. Some of them will become general officers. And so all of those guys come to our school to learn how to make the shift away from direct action leadership, where they're in charge of 100 people and follow me and off we go to do our direct mission.
Mhm.
And now they're going to become organizational leaders where they're on the staff of a large organization of 1,000 to 5,000 people. And they're going to be planning things with other officers for those soldiers to execute over time. So they're going to learn how to do strategic planning, campaign planning, resource management, a wide variety of soft skills that are indirect forms of leadership and management. And some of them will be chosen to command units and then have a staff to do that. So they have to learn a whole new set of collaborative skills and senior leader skills that they haven't had to use before. So on average, they serve another 10 years. Some of them serve 20 more years. And so we're preparing them for their next couple years as staff officers, but also to prepare them for future command. So we have a 2-year mission and a 10-year kind of a mission to work
Yeah.
objective near and objective far for our leader development. We got to teach them how to be good team players and then how to lead teams and coalitions. And we have about 1,200 officers here for a year-long course coming from all over the world. We have about 200 of those officers are the best and brightest officers from 150 allied nations who pick their best guys and gals and send them here to work and learn about us, and we learn about them. Uh, and so that's what we do. We're here in Kansas City. So I do that as sort of my continued mission of duty and service to others. At the same time, I got my doctorate in organizational change management um, in 2011 as part of our instruction on change management in the Army. I ended up having an interest in going deeper, so I got my doctorate in that. Practical change management in large organizations, specializing in how to initiate transformational change
Mm.
with groups of people. So I've become something like a catalyst for change in our on the inside. I'm an internal consultant. I also teach strategy, leadership, tactics, logistics, and change management in a number of different graduate programs, including our local university. I'm their research methodologist in their doctorate of education program. So I teach folks how to become like administrators, and supervisors, and all that jazz. I
Goodness.
my my business on the side of consulting for about 30 plus years. I'm a strategist and a market analyst, and I teach people how to develop systems to trade the markets for currencies, commodities, stocks, all that jazz. My clients are hedge funds, banks, independent traders, pension funds, organizational uh, investors and traders. I also teach individual traders how to survive in that kind of cutthroat marketplace. There's a real synergy between all of those things, believe it or not. That's all kind of strategy and teamwork and a little bit of quantitative skills, some qualitative, but a lot of collaborative learning and community building. And so um, all four of those things feed my habit and my hobby, which is to be uh, a youth soccer coach, which I've done for 25 or 30 years. And that's what I actually really live to do. And all of these other things simply support my habit. Uh, and I'm in charge of our leadership academy and our skills academy and our local community soccer program. And I've been on the board for about 10 years, coaching for 25 years, and took my kids all the way through that. And a bunch of kids I started with are now in our college graduates, and some of them are in college and come back and help me run summer camp. So there's a lot of soccer, but there's also some leadership and citizenship involved there. I feel like that's something that I am called to do as part of my inner self, and that's where that's my community service for a life of crime, I suppose. I could say it that way. So the OWL group, then,
Wow.
all of those things that I just described, those four
Mhm.
lines of operations or lines of effort, are all managed through my OWL group base camp. So there's things like the OWL group research that you see here. That's a bunch of my traders that are doing systems development. There's the St. Mary's EdD program is where I do the doctoral research with the guys that I'm their research chair. I do some coaching, small group coaching. I have three small groups for the year 2024, getting ready to start the fourth one. We meet once a week. And then some of these other projects are just associated with different chunks of that. So one of them is the if I can find them in here. Uh I don't know why I put it in new stack. Okay. So this one is a collection of two little projects in this group. One of them is the HCU Alumni Coordination. That's us right now. And then the
Okay.
OWL Group books. One of the things that I realized I had to do was uh, document my brand in artifacts, and books are the best way for me to do that for the kinds of clients that I want to attract to my consulting business. Having a book published creates a moral high ground and an anchor point from which I can spin out shorter speeches, meetings, workshops, lessons, collaborations. And it can also, the book itself leads to longer term engagement for, you know, workshops that last 3 months to a year. So the book
Right.
turns out to be the centerpiece, the keystone of that arch, and everything kind of radiates from out of that.
Mhm.
I can take chapter and make it an ebook or a call to action or a lead magnet or whatever. So um, I got into that business as a friend of mine was a world-class psychologist of traders, and I went to one of his workshops to learn how to be a better trader. He liked the way I was doing work. I was an active duty Army officer at the time, and so he did an interview of me and how did I come up with the strategy that I used in the simulation he was running that performed really well. That interview led him to invite me to be a guest lecturer on a couple of his courses and then to develop my own courses. He encouraged me to incorporate and start my own business as an advisory firm, which I did about 28 years ago. And that was a really good decision, has sort of leveraged everything else that I do. Um, he passed away, unfortunately, and quickly from bad health. His whole business had been built around annual books that attracted high net worth clients and then brought in the people to these high end workshops. And he was my like lead magnet. His
Mm-hmm.
name and reputation and caliber of performance would get people into the room. I would come in for a weekend and teach my particular stuff, and I would earn 25% of the weekend's take or whatever, and he got 75%. Later that became 50-50 as we became partners. But I always uh, had him generating clients for me. I didn't really want to do that or know how to do it. Almost found it dangerous or distasteful because I was always worried about false gurus in in that particular market. So I didn't want any of that. I just wanted to be an analyst, come out of my cave when I had something to say, and then
Mm-hmm.
he could do the client generation. I get well when he passed away. There were a number of folks that were also assistant instructors with him that didn't have their own brands established in the world like he did. And so I sort of took on the challenge of maybe the senior instructor to say, look, if we want to keep this going, and we
Yeah.
should, because we have things to say, then we need to be active in establishing and promoting our brand. And so I took that on as a challenge a year ago to start cranking out good books that I could be proud of.
Mm.
Getting the first one done was a challenge until I broke the code on how to use artificial intelligence as a writing partner. And then I designed my first book so that a couple of my interns who studied with me and I had been working with them in the coaching group were now ready for prime time. And I caused them to develop their own courseware that is my applied research, but through their lens. And then I had them write a chapter each in my book. And then my book acts as a carrier. And then they're the extra chapter. And then their chapter leads to their course. Their chapter is going to become a full book that they're writing. So the books will spawn courses and other books. And now we have sort of a shelf in the library of our expanding material. And collectively, then, that is what we call the OWL group as a way
Okay.
to each of us is our own business. Each of us gets paid on our own, efforts, but we can refer people to each other. As
Mhm.
kind of the senior guy who's broken the code on the infrastructure that works for us. I just host all of their courses, and I give them project worked areas in Basecamp to use, which they're comfortable with. They pay me a little fee for that, but they keep about 80% of all the take. And that way we have a really nice working arrangement. So God forbid something happens to me, they still have a brand. The website will keep running, and then they can continue to work hard. And what this does is gives them an incentive to market themselves and to use me to help leverage my brand for their marketing. And the harder they work, the more they keep most of it. So it's their money. And then I get a little passive income from that, which then goes into my business, which my wife owns and my son runs. And now there's a continuity to the next generation. And that is now kind of like a self-sustaining function, and I'm free to kind of just do what I want to do, which is research, write, and collaborate. So the OWL group then is a hub around which all of that is organized. The OWL group books is one place where we write books. And now what I wanted to say was, okay, so this is the organization of the HCU alumni. And then this started off as, I think I've invited, there were like 17 of us on the initial
Mhm.
email list, and I've invited everybody. Probably 10 folks have checked in at various times. There's probably 4 or 5 of us that routinely meet on Fridays.
Mm.
Joy and Sue and Marianne.
Denise, I think too, right? I was
Yeah,
talking to
yeah.
Denise.
Denise has come in, and so we take the Friday night as 2 1-hour blocks, and the first hour
Mm.
we kind of if the right people are there and they have something to work on, what we really are looking at is collaborating on the creation of artifacts. And so I have a little speech on why artifacts matter, whether it's a good phrase for your brand or an iconic image that represents you, or it's a one-page flashcard that tells your story in 3 minutes that is memorable
Hmm.
and gives everybody what they really need to know about you, your calling card or your poster, your headshot and a speech or something like that. Or it
Okay.
could be a flashcard that leads to that describes a concept that you are a proponent of or something that you teach. Or that artifact could be an ebook or a short video or a long video, or it could be a 30 to 90-minute workshop or a couple workshops together. It could be a lesson in a course. It could be an entire course. It could be a whole book. It could be a series of books. So it could be the recording of you on a podcast, which I see in your future as podcast host, interviewing people in the way that you do and quickly extracting and presenting their their brand to the world as part of a talk show host, which I think you'd be amazing at, and really tap into your strengths. So the idea of the artifact is that it gets it out of our head onto paper. We can improve that, and then that artifact becomes leverage. And I have this little formula that I use for transformational change in the world. First of all, the forces that keep us where we are what I call fat, dumb, and happy. Those three forces are uh, inertia, culture, and the status quo. And I usually say, look, inertia means bodies at rest tend to stay at rest. Bodies in motion tend to stay in motion. But if you're not doing things, then it's easier to not do things. It's hard to take the first step. So inertia keeps us where we are.
Mhm.
The second thing is culture. And you could say, is culture smart or dumb? And I want to take this, I would rather defend the side that culture is dumb. Um, uh, so that'll keep us where we are. You don't advance by not being smart or trying new things. You just content to be, so culture keeps us there. And then the status quo. So the status quo makes us happy. Well, no, it doesn't. I'm unhappy. I want to change. No, no, it really does make you happy. It makes you just happy enough
Mhm.
that you don't want to give up the sandwich that you have in order to get the full meal that you want.
Mhm.
It gives you just enough to keep you where you are because of fear of missing out or fear of losing everything. So it's a bird in the hand worth is two in the bush. We are wired for a world of scarcity. And so if you have a little thing, even though it's little, it's better than nothing. And I don't want to let go of that in order to grab an opportunity with two hands. So those three things taken together are the forces that keep us where we are. On the other side of the equation, the other side of the teeter-totter, it's like a board on a little fulcrum. The other side, there are three things that allow us to generate power to change, and that is um, purpose, action, and artifacts.
Hmm.
And if you're that those multiply together, it's purpose times your action times your artifact. If any one of those three things is a zero, that whole side of the equation is a zero. Here's what I mean. If you have purpose and take action, but you don't have an artifact that leverages your effort, pretty soon you just get tired of doing all that hard work by hand by yourself in the dark with nobody around, and the energy gets depleted pretty quickly. So you have to have an artifact that allows you to encode and infuse that with whatever you are and get that thing out there working for you in the world. Well, what if you have an artifact but you don't take action with it. You have a purpose. It's to get my brand and do my thing, and I have an artifact, but I'm not doing anything with it. Then it's, you might as well not have anything, because without taking the action step, you're not getting any energy into the world. And then purpose. If I don't have purpose, then I am what we would call unvectored energy. I'm just going here, then I'm going there. I'm a rabbit running around, and I'm not achieving purposeful, directed effort leveraged by an artifact. So now what I have is these two sides of the equation. On the positive side for change, I have purpose, action, and artifacts. On the right-hand side, I have the forces that keep me in one spot. Inertia, culture, and status quo. Well, the intervening variable, the thing that makes a difference, is leadership.
Hmm.
When I talk to our general officers when they first take command of our organization, and I get on their calendar, I say to them, "Look, sir, your leadership is fat, dumb, and happy. Change my mind. Show me that you have skin in the game for these initiatives and priorities that you've just expressed. You guys always come in and you have a list of things you want to do and why it's important and why we should do that. And you want to enlist our discretionary effort to all come in and really start working. Uh, well, we've seen guys that talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. And so we're careful and cautious with spending our capital on your initiatives if you don't really believe in it. What we want to see from you, sir, is skin in the game, by which I mean you're taking a personal and professional risk by committing to that initiative. And you're willing to make that risk first and put yourself out there and doing something about it in a tangible way, because it could go wrong for you. If you're willing to take that risk, then I'm willing to take that risk. But don't ask me to take a risk that you won't take, because that's the opposite of leadership. So you can just bet that the default position of everybody that you're working with is one of learned distrust. Well, that's why we talk about safety, trust, truth, and opportunity in our circle, and why it's important to establish that. Well, that whole formula then really determine what is the leader doing. If you think about an organization, there's only one person in an organization that ever gets the benefit of the doubt. That's the leader in the first 90 days that they're there. Everybody else, look it, you know better. You know how things work here. And when you do something that it was intentional, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. You get measured against a standard and you get judged. Welcome to the world.
Yeah.
But if you're a leader, we say, look, he's a new guy. He's got some ideas. He might be the one that changes us around. I'll give you 90 days. Let me see what you're doing. I hear what you're saying. You've gone to charm school and you know how to say all those words persuasively. That's one of the preconditions of being that leader. But what do you actually do? Show me that you have skin in the game, and then I'm all aboard. So inside of that whole framework, the artifact is the thing that adds leverage to everything on the positive change side. I know you have a purpose. Or maybe that's what you're here to work on. Maybe that's what the thing to do is, to work on the purpose first, so that I know what kinds of actions I can take and what kind of artifacts I need in order to fulfill progress towards that purpose. So sometimes in the second hour, what we've often done is the first hour we treat as how to create artifacts. In the second hour, we have used that as a strategy making, visioning project
Hmm.
whereby a person can clarify what it is that they want to do next. And maybe I know what I want to do in the long run, but I'm not sure what my first objective ought to be towards that long and complicated. And here's what I typically say on that is, the world that we're operating in is filled with what the Army guys call VUCA: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Each one of those four things, VUCA, makes the world hard to predict and constantly changing. So even when you know where you want to go and you have a deliberate plan on how to get there, that was based on the world as you understood it at that moment. And now I've spent this time coming up with a very detailed plan and assembling my resources, and I'm ready to take my step, and it doesn't work. What was wrong with my plan? Well, there was nothing wrong with your plan, except that time has passed and the world has changed, and now we need something else. So there's this ironic tension between planning and doing. And coming from an Army guy where we love to plan, but we also have to do, we recognize that under certain conditions, when the world is very full of change and that VUCA, that the first thing you have to do from the safety of your base camp, where you are protected by inertia, culture, and status quo, is taking that first brave step out in any direction is actually a step in the right direction, because you're creating the momentum that once you get started is going to allow you to keep going. And then as you go with each step, as you assess how it went, you see how the world changed around you. You thought it was this, so you did that, but you ended up over here. Well, that is a learning, teachable moment. And as we start doing that repeatedly, we get better at approximating what we need, and we start iterating towards the target, which can be moving in the short term, but is always that kind of deep spiritual purpose that we want to get to. So the artifact is the thing that once you have that created and it endures, allows you to use it and reuse it in many different ways, no matter what the new circumstances are. So the act of creating artifacts is always a good thing. One of the things that it does for you is that it creates space inside you once you're finished. When I have envisioned a thing and I've put my spirit into it and I've offered it to the world for out of gratitude, while asking forgiveness for the gift that I give, because it's not worthy, and the universe says it's always worthy because only you could have made that thing that way, and you had the courage to give us that gift, and you've emptied yourself into that artifact, and out of respect, we're going to give you more of whatever intent you put into that artifact. So if that was done out of a feeling of service to others and generosity and love, the form of that it took was just the art in that moment. The universe will respond to that intention and reward you with more of that to work on. When your bowl has been emptied, it starts filling up as the universe starts giving you back whatever your intention was. And that establishes a virtuous circle, a virtuous cycle, where the more of what you do gives you a chance to get more of that. And now you start growing. So the artifact, in one sense, is part of how to encode what it is you want to say in a nice, elegant way that's useful, that other people can get and use, and that's your gift to them. And then purpose is that about, hey, what is my longer term plan? What is it that I'm aiming to do and to be? And then action is sort of that intervening pathway. What is the thing that I need to do to go from my safe base camp here towards that purpose, by taking that first step and then building the resilience and the energy and the teamwork and the partnering that allows us to keep on going. So the first hour of what we do is typically, we've been talking about artifacts that we're working. Like last week with Joy, it was we were taking a look at her outline for her flagship 3-month course
Yeah.
about confident communication, and necking that down into the entry level pilot program which is like the introduction to that, could be priced at a much lower level. And if you like what we're doing, you can get more, and it can be turned into a home study course that's just out there 24/7, generating value and connections without her working on it. And then people may want to take that and then add coaching, or they may want to go to the longer. So that actually acts as a stepping stone. So last week's video was a discussion of how to go from her flagship course, which was her everything, into that course, and then how to select the first module of that as a good sample of the longer course, but also as a thing that would provide specific value to a person that was looking for confident communication. So what is the minimum
Mm.
viable product that I have to put in there that stands on its own? And then how can I do that as a pilot program? Well, I told her, I'll get you 5 guys from my clients who want to learn that stuff, and they'll put skin in the game. They'll buy that course. And then I want you to co-create that course with them. You design it, you deliver it, you listen to their feedback, and then you shape it into something that is of great value to them. And that's why they're getting a price break on doing that, is because they're actually helping you develop the final product, and they're getting value out of the act of co-creation because they're discovering what it is that they really needed. And now they're helping to create the course with your expertise that gets that delivered. So that's why a person would want to take that pilot. So it's not, you don't apologize for giving a pilot program that is still in the act of creation. What you're actually giving them is a gift to participate early and to use the energy of that to discover what it is that we want to do. And then you say, you're always going to get the later course anyway. And so there's no risk on your part. And then to help her with that, I provided the Rizuku learning platform for her to put their lessons into that, because I learned last year that it met every educational infrastructure need that I had. It's about the 5th learning management system that I've tried on for size. A couple of them I use with the Army, a couple that I have tried at various times in my career as a, finance educator. And then, and I chose Rizuku because it was the most flexible, gave me a complete solution. Plus, they offered me a chance to buy the lifetime license, in which I have unlimited storage, unlimited courses, unlimited students, unlimited assistant instructors for life at no additional cost. It's like, oh, well, that's easy. So what I have done for Joy and Denise and Sue and Marianne, when she's ready, is to provide them a space in Rizuku with their own course. And you, if you want to, when you want to do that, is to you just try it on. We'll help you build the course out. That's what my guys that work with me, they're very good at Rizuku and they just like doing this stuff. And I tell them to do it anyway. So we
I
will.
was lucky like you, Ken, and I bought it
Yeah.
when it was the lifetime,
Oh, you
not
know
the pro,
exactly
but
what. Yeah.
not the pro yet, but the lifetime. So
Yeah.
yes, I agree with you, and thank you for co-signing that.
Yeah, it's 100%. I mean, I've been a professional adult educator for over 30 years now. That thing is such a deal. I after they let me sign up, I sent a note to Abe. Uh, he and Danny interviewed me as part of HCU
Mm.
when I showed him what I was doing, and I said, Abe, I don't know how you thought that was a good idea to just one-time payment and then just run. He says, you're helping me. I said, yeah, I know. But it's a really good deal. It's for an individual operator with their own brand. It's such a no-brainer
Yeah.
that, I mean, I was spending between 3 and 5 grand a year just to maintain the learning management system, and which capped me at about 250 students and a certain number of courses, and I had to pay extra for bandwidth if I went above and beyond. It was like, dude, you're killing me here. Why would I why would I not use Rizuku at an ongoing cost of zero? Plus, the pro version of that allowed me to realize my vision of turning my students. This is the position that I take. if you're a teacher, if you claim to be a teacher, I don't need you to tell me about all the teaching that you teach and all that. Just stop. Just show me your students. Show me what they're doing, and then I will infer what kind of a teacher you are. I learned that with soccer coaching for kids. And I've had any number of guys that, at workshops or on the sidelines or, well, here's my philosophy of coaching. And here's, so I said, just stop, show me your kids when they're playing. Let me see how they play and how you interact with them. And then I know everything I need to know about you as a coach. In 10 minutes, I know what kind of a coach you are by watching your kids play. So I adopted the strategy of having my trading students that resonated with my systems. Or it doesn't always work for everybody because you got to be a certain kind of a person to use those kinds of systems. But if you're that kind of a person and the system works for you, what I do is help them personalize it and leverage their skill set. That's what I do in my coaching. And then I say, look, now that you have a working system that fits for you, I want you to turn that into a course. Because when you try to teach that to other people, they're going to start asking you difficult questions about that system that you're going to have to answer. And that's going to cause you to learn your own system even more. Because that was my lived experience with being a teacher, was that it really caused me to learn my own. So what I do is I coach them until they're profitable traders. Then I make them turn it into a course. And then once they've built the course, I said, now look, you built the course, you taught it once, we've got you on camera. You don't ever have to teach that again if you don't want to. You just let me market it for you and we'll have some agreement on splitting the difference. I'll do all and that way you get some passive income and whatever. Or you can continue to teach that and you can add other courses in the future if it is your desire. And then if you propose to coach students learning your systems to give them more personalized, I will allow you to do that under my brand or on my site or with my endorsement after I've coached you and you have been trained by me on how to coach in the way that we think is correct. And then I can tell other people, not only does this guy a trader, but he's also a good teacher, but even more, he's a coach. And I know that because I've worked with him for a year. And so now the OWL group in Rizuku allows me to start spreading that out. So now I got 6 or 7 guys that each one has got their own particular niche in trading in the markets. Some are long term, some are short term, some are options, some are currencies, some are in Australia, some guys in Europe, whatever. So each one of them has their own particular offering. And then when that comes together as the OWL group, it's now almost like an art studio with a bunch of different artists and each with their own room. And I can act as the curator and the validator and the organizer of the community space and help people find their way to the thing that seems like what it is they need. And then I can help with, and to that end, I've been doing more direct coaching and then have worked with some trading psychologists and hypnotists that can help our guys do whatever it is they need. And I'm hoping that we started a project with Brad from HCU Alumni, who's a EFT guy, and we've laid out some preliminary plans for doing the emotional freedom technique as a service and an offering to my clients. So I'm looking forward to working on that with them. So that is what I use Basecamp for, is to organize all these different pieces and parts. So now when we come to the HCU Alumni Coordination Center, you'll see a message board, a list of to-dos, a schedule, documents and files, and a chat. Now, the thing that we use the most is the message board, the docs and files, and then the schedule. Now, the schedule is the easiest one because that just lists every Friday night for Infinity. Those are, 2 separate different links. So if you just wanted to come For the artifact, we would do that from 5 to 6. If you want to work kind of on brainstorming and the big strategy, what is my purpose and what does that vision look like that's going to pull me through the
Okay.
difficulties, we would do that from 6 to 7. If it was just me and you here today and I was ever stopped talking and you wanted to do, we would just work on whatever you want to work on. I'm here to be a resource for you with whatever tools and skills that I have and to help with the strategy. So the schedule just keeps track of all of those Friday nights, and that has the active link, because if I click on that rascal, it gives me the invite and what it is we do, and then everything like that. And if there's anybody you're working with on HCU alumni, or anybody you're working with that you think would benefit from this, just bring them in. You have the authority to bring a friend in, and this is always free, by the way, always free. And there's a really good reason for that. The payoff for me of doing it for free is enormous. It's led to 5 different books that I've published in the last 2 months. So believe me, I'm getting a lot of value out of this. So that's what the schedule section looks like. Okay. If I go to the docs and files this is where, the text documents would just maintain it. Like under Joy Can Help, she's got a little subdirectory in there, and that's where Joy puts her stuff on confident communication. I put this is the reason I do it for free. This flashcard for professional performance model. This is an example of a 1-slide artifact that came out of a strategy vision session with Joy, and through discussion, we helped her find her power word, which was confident communication. So she was going through a process in HCU or CFF where they wanted her to do a bunch of market research to find clients and what do they want, and have to do a lot of interviews. And I said, I bet you don't have to do that. I bet you that there's enough been written about fear of public speaking, since it's the number one fear that people have in the world. I would rather appear naked in public with all the embarrassment that would cause than have to speak in public, if I'm being honest. Except when I have something to say, then I don't mind. But I said, so let's ask the AI, AI, I want you to give me the personality profile of 3 different personas that are reluctant to speak in public. What are those personas and why are they reluctant? And it said, after about 30 seconds of thought, it said, well, introverted expert, reluctant leaders, and anxious perfectionists.
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh, I am a reluctant leader. I was an expert on the thing and I got recognition for it. And my leaders picked me to promote and put me into a new position that I didn't ask for. I don't feel ready for, and I'm uncomfortable because I don't know anything about it and I'm unprepared. But I can't not accept the promotion because here's how you get over that. You say, now look maybe I don't feel comfortable and confident, but those 20 people that selected me to be that leader, they know me in ways that I don't know me, because they see me from 20 different perspectives and they have experience and judgment and they want what's good for me and what's good for them. So I feel like I'm not ready to be that leader, but they all thought that I am that leader. Why? Is it a matter of trust? I don't trust them? No, that's not it. They're trustworthy people. Are they dumb? Well, no, they're not dumb. Just look at them. They're smart. So maybe, just maybe, they know something about myself that I don't know. And maybe if I learn to trust their judgment, I can learn what it is that they see so that I can leverage strengths that I didn't know I had. I just need to know myself better, but operate with their trust and support. So that's a strategy. There's actually 5 different strategies that we can associate with the reluctant leader to move them from discovering yourself into the phase of development where we're just going to get better. We're going to get over the fear and we're just get in and start developing skills. Once we get past development, we're going to get into high performance and become amazing. But the first step was overcoming this fearfulness. So the reluctant leader was one of the 3 personas. The anxious perfectionist, tell me if you've ever seen anybody like this. I can't say anything about it until I have it perfect to the last crossed T and dotted I, with a full anticipation of everything that could go wrong and something already ready. And I've anticipated and I can answer everything that they're going to question. Only then can I start to make the first step. Now, I get that. Where does that come from? The anxious perfectionist comes from a humble awareness of what the limits of our own knowledge and skills and experience are. I know there's people out there that want to trust me and they think I am a certain way, but only I really know what the limits of what I actually know. And I know that if they just uncritically believe in me and don't do their own due diligence, that could lead to a problem. And I cannot allow that to happen. So I'm going to be reluctant to speak about it in public until I have it perfect. Yeah, but if you're living in that world of VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, your plan can never be perfect to encompass an infinitely changing world. So there are things that we can do to acknowledge that it's good enough with insurance policy and a warning to the wise and layers of safety and learning how to scale and to build proficiency on their part before they just uncritically accept. So I'm going to help them learn about my imperfections as a way to learn about where I'm really pretty good. And I'm going to learn that good enough is good. And then finally, the introverted expert is one where you say, look, I like to work the way I like to work on the things I like to work, where and when I like to work on it. And for me, that's in a cave in my basement, introverted, working on numbers and tables and systems and thinking and writing and exploring, that's what I love to do. That's who I am. And I don't even want to talk to people, because that's kind of the problem in the world is the people. Everything else is really okay. Uh, and if you make me, I'll communicate with them in writing clearly so that they can learn it on their own and I can get back to work. But if you make me talk to them, I'll talk to them one-on-one if I have to, but I want to get back to work. Standing up in front of them and talking. So each one of those 3 personas could be the reason why a person needs to learn about confident communication. Or, if I may say, learn how to collaborate with others in a relationship that's mutually beneficial for our mutual uh, growth and thriving, Miss Bethany. And so then I asked the AI, hey, give me a self-assessment instrument that would ask me 5 questions associated with each one of those. And I could tell you by self-report how much I am like this and how much, because my hypothesis is that we all have all 3 of those in some fashion. And now if you can tell me where I am on that scale, I can now start picking these techniques or treatments and practices. I can start doing things to strengthen where I'm already good. That's a big win. Or I can get better on areas where I'm not so good. Now I'm going to raise the bar. And then at some point, you'll get over the fear and you'll become in the development model where the mindful scout is out there investigating and finds the important things to work on in priorities and can report that back to the team. Here's something that looks promising. And the diligent student is the one who can then systematically learn and develop and create artifacts and build our proficiencies and become better. And the persistent badger is my little spirit animal that keeps me going when times get tough. It's like, dude, I'm going from point A to point B, and I am going to get there. And I've got thick skin, so you cannot harm me. And I've got the teeth and the claws that will do the work. And I just dare you to get between me and my goal. Just, just see what happens if you try and stop me, no matter what. So those three personas take over in this model and start helping us to develop the skills. We solved the problem of fear and uncertainty, and now we moved into developing the specific skills. And then we get that to a certain level where it's working. And now I can look at performance. And my Dharma warrior, Dharma is the Hindu word for soul and fate and duty. The Dharma warrior in my model here is the action taking leader of a team, moving with selfless service towards a goal so that the people may thrive in an ethical, honorable, action oriented way, leading a team. And the master craftsman is the person who has learned through work how to use the tools, how to use them correctly and safely to leverage our performance, how to create a new tool if needed, and how to teach others, and to do that with the spirit of the humble master craftsman who just is who he is and just, this is what I do. And then the resourceful catalyst is the one who, as a diligent student, has all these artifacts and catalogs and networks of people, and has the skill of bringing people together, building teams, sharing tools and techniques, and allowing them the space to create their own solutions that don't require him, but they become self-sufficient unto themselves. And then the catalyst can go do that elsewhere. That's how I see my own higher self when I'm working in the Army and in my business and whatever. And that's sort of what I've been trying to do as the in the OWL group is sort of move into that area. Now, along the way, when you're going through those 9 areas through the 3 phases, it's useful to have teachers, coaches, and mentors at each stage. Teachers when I'm just trying to get over the hump, coaches that'll help me improve my performance, and then mentors to help me with directionality and steering and the next deeper goals. And then the trail boss who's watching all of that and saying, look I understand that you're on this journey of self-development, but we got work to do and we got fish to fry and crops in the field. And we got to get there through bad weather. So we're going to get to our objective while at the same time building out and that's the guy that keeps us on schedule, keeps the wheels turning. And that's one of the things that I really do best in the Army is sort of, let's go. But I was a good commander. I was a great chief of staff and executive officer who runs the thing so that the commander is free to think big thoughts and lead the way. I'm the kind of the organizational glue. That's my own particular brand of expertise.
Yeah, this is
So
I'm gonna have to stop you I'm so sorry, Ken,
Yeah.
but I only allotted till 4. So,
okay.
but I mean, I'm so blown away. I can't even tell you. This
So
is
let me
just
tell you, it took an hour to produce this, and I only did it because Joy was talking about confident communication, and our collaboration helped me put that all on paper in one shot in one day. And I've written a book on it, and I'm consulting with some corporations that want me to teach that to them. Now, I say that simply to say, in conclusion, when you look at uh, the documents and files, these are the art, like there's Denise's video, her little 3-minute elevator speech, and these are the artifacts that we've created along the way. And then in the message board, this is where we sort of document what's going on. And then there is a this top level one, the workshop recordings, if you click that, that's always at the top. This is going, so starting
Okay.
back on March 29th, this was a recording of, there's my business flow model and how I use infrastructure and artifacts.
Oh,
There's me and
great.
Denise working on her vision. There's me and Sue working on her vision, us working on artifacts. And these are just all the little recordings of the workshops. And our little discussion here is going to get put inside that as part of the, and so that's where you can find all of the previous sessions, because it hurts my feelings to have to go back over and say things again. If we have if we have skin in the game and made a good recording and made a connection, now you have something you can reflect on and say, oh, did I hear everything he said? Or was I, whatever, what did that trigger? How did he say it? Oh, I can go back and look at it again. So
Yeah.
in the comments, every time we post a recording, I put it down here in the comments, which sends you an alert that we uploaded a video, and it'll bring you to this page, which lists all of the videos. So here's what I'd like you to think about, is just think about this stuff. I
Yes.
personally, it would, uh, you know, if I were king, you'd be the queen of podcasts with interviews and getting people to create their own artifacts through you interviewing them on camera in a recording, and then you becoming a catalyst agent of change in the way that you draw out from them their gifts and their visions. And then that lets people say, oh, that's someone I want to work with. And then you run a talent agency of people that are looking for partnering. And then that actually helps you refine your craft about working as a one-on-one strategic coach to help people see the possibilities of what they want to do. And then by working, with me and others in here, you can actually show them, hey, that vision you have for yourself, there are a number of different ways that that could become action in the world and build out your strategy for business. And I know some people that know how to do that, me
Right.
and everybody in this room. But to me, if I was king, I'd say, if you are looking for something to do, I'd start you off on that right away and say, hey, use your interview and podcasting skills and your ability to figure out the key elements of personalities and how they match and mesh. Boy, you'd be an amazing, HR director of that. And I could see that as a brand if that's something you'd wanted to do. And you could actually turn that into coaching later on. As a After the initial interview, it might be something say, hey, I really like the way we had our initial visioning, and I want to work with you on that. And then you could put together a team that helps you turn that into reality. And you could build your own courses where you tell about your brand and what you do and give people the homework to come into the session with you ready to talk about the things that you are ready to talk about. That is one way that you leverage your time, is by having them your standard good prep work done, and then they do that, and then they come to you when they're ready to go right into the work, so you don't have to drag them through it with a lecture or whatever. So
Right.
that was what I wanted to say. I wanted to just introduce you to the
Yeah.
base camp and how we do it and some of my background. And it would be a honor and a pleasure for me to be of service to you in any way on anything that I've said in there. And if, like I said, this workspace will always be open and free, and you can bring friends if you got people you want to work with and you'd find this helpful. Whatever it is I can do to help you, you just let me know.
Well, I mean, I'm just blown away. First of all, I never even got to thank you for your service, which I've been wanting to do since the beginning. And I just, everything that you're saying is so, just this meeting alone has been so impactful. The formula that you talked about with the artifacts and
Yeah,
the jump
yeah,
between the inertia and the culture and the
yeah,
status quo. And that's just like wrapping my head around that is so, so impactful.
yeah,
So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to take all this and kind of like
yeah.
let it
Let it
marinate and
cook. Yep.
rattle around in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much here. So thank you. I'm so excited to be part of this, and I'm gonna block off my Fridays, the 2 hours now if I can.
Yeah.
Obviously, just so you know, the reason I'm still working,
I'm
so
with you.
that's why it
I'm with you.
can be challenging, but
Yep.
I'm making this my priority to join and be part of this because you have so much to offer. This is such a gift, and thank you so much. I'm really excited.
The greatest reward that I got out of getting my doctorate and teaching and coaching was the satisfaction of being able to help other people beyond my own expectation. To just say, oh, wow, I'm in a position to help them. I, and the payoff of that always astonishes me. And that's where the reward is,
Oh,
because we're only here for our time.
I mean,
And
you were
what was the mark you made on the world? And
right.
that's
You were
what
just
you helped
passing it,
others do. So
right, and passing it on, and I mean, this is just incredible. This is incredible. Wow. Well, thank you. That's really what I can say now, and I'm excited to take this all in and be able to contribute as much as I can. And yeah, I'm gonna really, really reflect on the stuff that you talked about. So,
the first one I want you to come up with is a one-page business card with your message and brand,
okay.
and that says in a, like that little resilient badger behind me is my
Yes.
little spirit animal from the Zuni tribe in New Mexico. That's the resilient badger. Get in his way, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I want you to set, what does your calling card look like? What do I know you for? And how does that's your face to the crowd? That's the first thing. And it should tell me at a glance what your brand is going to feel like and why it's so much fun to work with you and what that's going to be like. And so I want you to figure out how to communicate that in a powerful visual way. And you know how to do that already.
Okay.
So yeah,
I
it,
mean, I'm working on some stuff. I have some stuff prepared, but this is
yeah,
a new challenge. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
up for it.
Alrighty. You
Yeah.
take good care. Have a
Thanks,
great,
and
safe
thank
weekend.
you. Have a great week, and I will talk to you next week.
Yep. Cheers.
Yeah,
Bye.
cheers.